Short video on solving trigonometric equations between 0 and 360. And for each of these questions we have to be able to use cast diagrams. So just note that the cast diagrams are as follows. C down the bottom right and then go anti-clockwise CAST. And C means this is where cos is positive. A means this is where all sine, cos and tan are positive. Sine is positive in this quadrant and tan is positive in the third quadrant. And then we'll have, because this is between 0 and 360, we start at 0 and then go to 90, 180, 270 and then back to 360. So we'll start with an example of solving cos x is equal to 0.462. The first thing I want you to notice in all of these questions is whether or not this is positive or negative, because that determines how we use our cast diagram. So it's positive, so it's a pretty straightforward question. What we'll do is we'll take this 0.462 and in the calculator we'll do cos to the minus 1, so shift cos of 0.462, and that will give us an acute angle that we're going to draw in our cast diagram. So we're going to draw this angle in our cast diagram where cos is positive. And cos is positive here and here. C for cos, A for all. So we're drawing the angle of 62.48 and we always draw measuring from the horizontal. So measuring from this line. Whatever quadrant we're in, we measure from that line. So it's just a sketch and we're going to have a line here in the first quadrant. It makes an angle of 62.48 degrees with the horizontal. And we're going to draw another line here that makes an angle of 62.48 degrees with the horizontal. Then it's a matter of knowing how to use the cast diagram. So in a cast diagram we start at this point and we go for positive values, for positive angles, we go counterclockwise or anti-clockwise. So from 0 we're going to turn until we hit the first angle here, which is 62.48 degrees. So that is one of our answers. Then we'll go back to 0 and we're going to follow the diagram all the way around until we get to the second angle that we've drawn, and we've gone past 90, past 180, past 270, and we're into the last quadrant. And to calculate the second angle we're going to take 62.48 away from 360, because if it continued all the way back it would be 360, so we're going to subtract 62.48 from 360, so we get 287.52. So if you plug these two values into your calculator and do cos of these values, you will get 0.462 as your answer. On to another question. This time we have solve sine of x is equal to minus 0.762. So like I said before, notice whether it's positive or negative, because that determines how we use the cast diagram. But even though we have a negative here, we're going to use the calculator to do the inverse sine of positive 0.762. So we disregard this negative sign whenever we get our acute angle. It's only whenever we use the cast diagrams that we account for the negative sign, because we're going to take this acute angle and we're going to draw it in our cast diagram, not where sine is positive, but where sine is negative. Now, sine is positive here and here, all on sine, so therefore it has to be negative in the third and fourth quadrant. So that is why we have drawn an angle. Remember, when we draw from the horizontal, we have an acute angle of 49.64 from the horizontal, where sine is negative, and sine is negative here and here. So once again, we're going to start from 0, and we are going to measure the angle all the way around to where we have drawn the first angle. So it has gone past 90, past 180, and then we're adding 49.64 onto 180, which is why I've done this down here, and we get our first angle to be 229.64. Then for the second angle, go back to 0, and we're going anti-clockwise again until we get to the second angle. So it goes past 90, past 180, past 270, all the way into the fourth quadrant. And to work out that final angle, we're going to subtract 49.64 from 360. So our second angle is 310.36 degrees. Tan for the next one, and it's positive, so we have to figure out where is tan positive in our cast diagram, and tan is positive in the first and the third quadrant. So we do inverse tan of 3 to get our acute angle, and we draw an acute angle here in the first quadrant and the third quadrant, measuring from the horizontal. So then let's start from 0 and go anti-clockwise until we get to our first angle. So our first angle is 71.75 itself. Then back to 0 and follow it all the way around past 90, past 180 to here. So we're going to add 71.57 to 180, and our second angle is 251.57. And just one more. This is tan, but it's negative. So you disregard this whenever you're getting your acute angle. So you'll do inverse tan of 0.6. So you know that's positive. You account for that whenever we use our cast diagram. So we're going to draw an acute angle of 30.96 where tan is negative. So tan is negative here and here, the second and fourth quadrant. Two acute angles from the horizontal. We're going to follow the arrow round from 0 past 90 to here. So it's between 90 and 180, so we'll do 180 subtract our acute angle to get our first value. And then we go back to 0, follow it all the way around past 90, past 180, past 270 to here, the fourth quadrant. So we'll do 360 subtract our acute angle, and we get our second value.